Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this is from Daily Mail News, dated March 12, 2023. Exclusive. America's child marriage shame. More than 100 teen girls have wed older adult men since 2021, risking lopsided unions with abusive groomer husbands they can't escape. By James Reaney, Social Affairs Correspondent for Daily Mail. Also, I just want to add in there, we all know this, when these perverted older men want to marry these young girls, that gives them license to R them. The era of 11-year-old girls marrying much older men, don't you guys love the way they word that? Don't you love the way they word that? Like making it sound like the girls had a choice in this. Those are pedophiles. Is in America's rearview mirror, but exclusive new data show that a worrying number of youths in their mid-teens are still getting hitched to adults. They really make it sound like it's not a big deal. Whereas like back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, young people that were getting married, to include my mother, they would marry the same age person. DailyMail.com obtained figures from Unchained at Last, a nonprofit that campaigns to end young marriages. Oh, I'm definitely going to check that out. Showing how scores of kids, mostly girls, aged 16 and 17, they're younger than that, have wed adults, otherwise known as pedophiles, from Maine to North Dakota these past 2 years. That includes 30 teens in West Virginia, 39 in Michigan, and another 15 in Wyoming in 2021, according to the latest figures gathered from state sources that can take years to trickle through the system. Once all the figures from 2021 and 2022 are available, researchers expect to uncover hundreds and perhaps thousands of cases which can condemn teens to young pregnancies. Oh, you know what happens before the pregnancy? RAPE. Isn't that wild? And abusive groomer husbands. Depending on their age, I would call a lot of them pedophiles. Not all of them. This revives horror stories of child brides, like Dawn Teary, who at 13 was married and pregnant with a man 19 years her senior. That's a pedophile, you guys. Pedophile. Watch this video get flagged. Watch it get flagged. Or Sherry Johnson, who was R'd as a child by a deacon who she was coerced into marrying. So wait a minute. I don't know how old Sherry Johnson was, because I want to challenge this coercion. Because adults are supposed to parent children, not marry them. Only 7 states restrict marriage for everyone younger than 18. As recently as 2017, marriage for under 18s was legal in all 50 states. Also, I want to contend too that this is one way they're trafficking the girls. It depends on the situation, but it's like it's one way they're doing it. Currently, only 7 states ban all marriages for those under age 18, and 7 states still have no minimum age limit for tying the knot. The new data revives horror stories of child brides from America's recent history, including Dawn Tyree, pictured here with her first child, who at 13 was married and pregnant with a man 19 years her senior. Yeah, he's a pedophile. In another shocking story of America's child brides, Sherry Johnson was AR'd by a deacon who she was coerced into marrying. I would challenge this coercion because I don't know how old she was. She ended up having 6 children in the 7 years they were together. Though the number of child marriages has fallen in this past decade, and incidents of prepubescent brides are rare nowadays, campaigners say state legislators still have much work to do. Yeah, if you guys want to know what's going on in California, go look at the sick, disgusting legislations and laws that they're secretly sneaking in while everybody was worried about wearing a face diaper and putting something, into their arm. They were creating laws that would make certain acts with young girls okay. Just go look into it. In a country with broad religious freedoms, many insular cult-like groups and immigrant communities with their own traditions of marrying off girls. Oh yeah, a lot of these various countries, they marry little girls that are 7 or 8 years old. And there's a lot to it, so just go look into it. The practice is hard to stamp out, campaigners warn. Becca Powell, the group's advocacy director, said it was inherently dangerous for any youth under age 18 to wed because they can lack the legal rights. Why do you think it's happening in Scientology, in all of these religions? And then the girl can't say, well, he blanked me, right? I mean, even though that is a thing, like marital R is a thing. These men are sick. Because they lack the legal rights of an adult, which can leave them trapped in abusive unions. Those fleeing a cruel spouse can be treated as runaways by police, and returned to their homes. They're being handled, you mean? Even against their will. I would have to look into the laws on that one. Likewise, domestic violence shelters often turn away unaccompanied children. Oh, you guys, I'll have to tell you a story about one of my previous jobs. It didn't take me long to figure out what was going on in the shelter systems. It's sick. There's predators everywhere. Even one minor being forced to marry before 18 is a tragedy, Powell told DailyMail.com. Child USA, you guys know what I think, and the UN's Agency for Children, UNICEF, are working to end all marriages and informal unions involving those under the age of 18. In the U.S., child marriages regularly end in divorce and see the younger partner, usually a girl, drop out of school, and fall into poverty. It's those predators, they suck people dry. As recently as 2017, marriage for under 18s was legal in all 50 states. Currently, only 7 states ban all marriages for those aged under 18. And 7 states still have no minimum age limit for tying the knot. State laws vary, but child marriages can require a parent's consent. Politicians in Vermont, California, Washington, Texas, Maine, Kansas, Connecticut, and other states have proposed bills to raise their age limits this year. That's good. West Virginia's Republican-run Senate Judiciary Committee this week rejected in a 9-8 vote a bill that would have prohibited minors from getting married. Wyoming late last month upped its minimum age for marriage to 16 over objections from state Republicans. You guys know some of these people that don't like it. You guys know what's up, right? Okay, Wyoming late last month upped... Okay, I already read that, sorry. Casey Swigman, a public policy director for the Tarahira Justice Center, an immigration nonprofit, called Wyoming's shift a hard-fought win, but warned that it still allowed vulnerable 16-year-olds to get married. Our work will not be done until all states end child marriage completely, Swagman said. Conservatives and others have resisted introducing or raising age limits in some states, sometimes calling age limits arbitrary or that they interfered with individuals' rights and religious liberty. I think there's a lot going on right now with this. I think the people who traffic the young people, they use marriage as kind of like a way to handle. Anybody who's really in the know knows what's up. I don't want to get too deep into it, but so any of these weirdos rejecting and like against it, they're in on it. Others say simply that there's nothing wrong. Oh, here we go. Others say simply that there's nothing wrong with a 16-year-old getting married, that children must grow up one day and make tough life decisions, and that many teen marriages lead to years of happiness. You guys watch this. Why do they don't tell you who the hell's saying that, right? It's because they're trying to sway people. Who are these others that are talking like this? And then in the paragraph before, conservatives? Really? Who are the conservatives? I mean, me personally, I've got mixed feelings on it, but I do think it has a lot to do with the trafficking. But campaigners insist, and also go and look at some of these new laws and addendums that they're I forget, I think the addendums they're putting into law, trying to make it okay to have certain S acts with young girls and boys. It's real. It's real. I looked into it a while back. I don't remember what the name of the legislation is. It's really sick. But campaigners, yeah, you know the campaigners with no names, insist they're tantamount to abuse and too often tie teen girls to grown men. Exactly. Because they're handling these girls. And some of these handlers are selling them. Some 96% of child marriages were age 16 or 17, but some were as young as 10. I can't say anything. I can't. Not on YouTube. I can't. I just can't. A 2021 study found that 300,000 minors under the age of 18 were legally married in the U.S. between 2000 and 2018. The vast majority were 16 and 17, but 20 of them were under the age of 13. The 10 states with the highest per capita rates of child marriage: Nevada. Oh, this reminds me, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but it also reminds me of how so many times, like in Scientology and probably other religions, they talk about taking people to different states to get married. It's just a way to control. Nevada, 0.671. Idaho, 0.338%. I wish I understood these stats a little better. Arkansas, 0.295%. Of what? Like the whole population? Arkansas, 0.295. You guys knew you were going to get it more in the South. Kentucky, 0.262%. Oklahoma, more South, 0.229%. Wyoming, 0.227%. Utah is where the Mormons are, 0.208. Alabama, 0.195. West Virginia, 0.193. Mississippi, 0.182. Nevada, a state known for Elvis Presley impersonators officiating quickie weddings, has the highest historical rate of teenage marriages in the U.S., followed by Idaho, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Oklahoma. They point to a 2021 study found that 300,000 minors under the age of 18 were legally married in the U.S. between 2000 and 2018. The vast majority were 16 and 17, but 20 of them were under the age of 13. In 5 particularly troubling cases, the child was married at age 10. Oh my God. You guys know some of these men are marrying them and selling them, right? Nevada, a state known for oh, I already read this. Young marriages can lead to younger teen pregnancies. That's a given, which raise the chances of eclampsia, puerperal endometriosis, endometritis, whatever it is, and systemic infections, the UN's World Health Organization says. The American Academy of Pediatrics has condemned child marriage, citing increased risk of sexually transmitted infections, early pregnancies, and intimate partner violence. The U.S. and other global movements seek to end child marriage by 2030 as part of UN anti-poverty targets. In England and Wales this month, the legal age for marriage rose from 16 to 18. That's good. Almost seems like with all the craziness going on in the world, people ain't having these agendas. My child marriage hell. Dawn Tyree was groomed by a child carer. I'd like to know a little more about that. I'm going to click on the gallery and see what we got. Tyree now campaigns against child marriages with the group called Global Hope 365. Ashley Duncan saw marriage as her only option. Yeah, it's not like these children a lot of times they don't have much choice. Like it's just beginning to be more obvious that children in America and even other countries are looked at as just property. Sherry Johnson now uses her platform to focus on ending child marriage in Florida. The man Sherry married, pictured together, was a 20-year-old deacon. The new data revives horror stories of child brides from America's recent history, including Dawn Tyree, pictured here with her first child, who at 13 was married and pregnant with a man 19 years her senior. Dawn Tyree was 11 years old. Oh my God. When a man 19 years her senior, who worked as her nanny, there's so much wrong with all of this. There's so much wrong. Began grooming her. She says he gave her adult responsibilities. Oh, like Scientology does. Like Scientology. Such as driving a car so that she would feel older. Wow. The 32-year-old impregnated her. That he's also known as a pedophile. Where were her parents when she was age 13? Her father quickly signed off on the couple's marriage. What? Wonder where she was from. And Dawn was wed after finishing 6th grade in 1985. Why didn't the father, take him out? Unbelievable. The solution was marriage, said Dawn. Marriage covers up the R, the sex abuse, and the child endangerment. Definitely was not a good father. Makes me wonder about her father. She continued, as minors, we can't do anything about it. It was a confusing time. It is brainwashing. Call it what it is. The following year, Dawn found out she was pregnant again. It was a hard pill to swallow. It put a little lump in my throat. But I lived through the first birth, so I just reassured myself. You gotta wonder what the medical staff's thinking, too. You're going to be okay. You can do this. Also, too, little girls, a lot of times their hips are not even formed enough to give birth safely. Sick. Dawn found herself as a mother of 2 at a very young age, isolated from both adults and other people, and admitted that after her marriage, there was nothing they could do. Age 16, she terminated her 3rd pregnancy and decided to flee her husband, fearing he would eventually start abusing their children. Of course he would. Sick. She sought refuge at a woman's shelter with a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old in tow, but was turned away because she was a minor. Wow. Somebody should have helped her. That's unreal. Homeless, Dawn left her kids with their paternal grandparents while she got back on her feet. She said she soon found a roommate and took her children back, but she had to wait until she was 18 to finalize her divorce and formally win custody of her children before she could breathe a sigh of relief. She now campaigns to end abuse against children and is calling for lawmakers to close all loopholes around underage marriage. You hear that, Scientology? And all you other religions trying to hurt the girls? Ashley Duncan got married in Missouri at the age of 15 after she became pregnant with her 18-year-old boyfriend's baby. At the time, she felt that marriage was the only option given her circumstances. She later discovered that the speedy marriage was actually arranged by her family members. Yeah, it's like they sold her to help her boyfriend dodge jail time for getting a child pregnant. That sounds like, too, that the family was trying to get out of any kind of responsibility, liability. Missouri then allowed 15-year-olds to marry with the consent of a parent. The only thing that doesn't bother me as much is, at least, this is kind of a bad situation, but at least the age difference was only 3 years. I was scared, but at the time I was told and believed, Duncan said. I found out it's not true, that since he was 18 or older, he would go to jail because I was pregnant. Duncan was married to her husband for 2 years and had a second child with him before they separated. Sherry Johnson was forced to marry a man who was at the time a 20-year-old deacon at her church when she was just 11. Oh my God. So Lee, I finally found out how old she was. There's no coercion there. Nobody said anything, said Johnson. Wow. They're all in on it. I knew I was a child. I knew I was 11. I knew he was 20. So I knew something was wrong then. Another pedophile. And I was really totally surprised that they allowed it to happen. And they're all like complicit in it. Johnson, who is now in her 60s, said she had already been R'd by the man and gave birth to their first child when she was 10. Oh my God. I was being R'd by people with authority, she said. Yeah, I wonder what the LAPD knows about that. I didn't know what was exactly really happening. I just know that something wasn't right about it. She ended up having 6 children in the 7 years they were together. That's also abuse. Forcing her to quit school. She now uses her platform to focus on ending child marriage in Florida. So anyways, you guys, that was it. That's pretty disturbing, but at least people trying to make change. I will leave the link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.